Execs are crying foul, though, over a proposed consumer financial protection agency, as well as other new regulations, while labor unions and other groups are pushing to rein in executive pay and give shareholders more say on company boards. Joining me now with a fair and balanced debate, Fortune magazine editor-at-large and Fox News contributor Adam Lashinsky, and former economic advisor to the McCain campaign, Taylor Griffin. Taylor, doesn't everybody agree that we can't have this happen again and something needs to be done?
Absolutely, Greg. And I think that's the big problem with this debate is the Obama administration wants to have you believe that anyone who has any question about some of the proposals they have and wants to make them work better is opposed to reform. And that's really taking this debate and shading it in a direction that is not going to get something done. If the Obama administration is serious about getting it done, they should take some of the legitimate criticism about the proposal they put up last year and work with Republicans and others to come up with a bipartisan solution that will really work.
Adam, what's your take on it? I mean, we know the bare outlines of what they're intending to do. Chris Dodd's legislation, Barney Frank, the White House all working together on this. What's your take? It's not perfect, probably, but it's got to help.
Not even close to perfect, of course, and it will help if it does only two things. One, the consumer protection strength under the Fed will help consumers in the future by empowering the Fed to look out for abuses and simply changing the capital requirements for banks. In other words, forcing them not to have more debt than they can handle will help stave off another crisis. I would point out this is completely different from health care reform. Republicans in the Senate in particular have been actively involved in crafting this legislation. Now, right now they're on the outside, but they've been on the inside for quite a while, and I think they'll come back.
Wall Street, Taylor, executives are saying that, you know, the changes that the Democrats are seeking could actually exacerbate the problem. You agree?
Yeah, I do, in several areas. One, the Consumer Financial Protection Agency. It doesn't necessarily make sense to have a whole separate agency created, a whole new government bureaucracy that is not working hand in hand with the regulators that exist now and that are trying to ensure safety and soundness of financial institutions. It's like having two sets of refs on the field, and that's a recipe for trouble. There are other areas where the bill that Senator Dodd has proposed, while it's significantly improved from what the administration originally came up with, would perpetuate the idea of too big to fail and potentially create the possibility of the taxpayers having to bear the burden of future bailouts. And that kind of thing needs to be fixed, and that's really what we're talking about in this legislation and in this debate. Senator Shelby, Senator Corker, Senator Gregg in the Senate are working very hard with Senator Dodd, who I think really wants to get a good bill done and is approaching this in a thoughtful manner. And the administration, I think, up to this point has tended to be a sort of a distraction from that process, and it's been complicating efforts to get that done by trying to pull Senator Dodd to the left.
Adam, I had a conversation recently with the head of a regional bank who was really bemoaning these regulations, fearful that it would stifle competition and hurt consumers. What say you?
Banks are never going to like this kind of regulation, and I think a very valid point is the concern that it will make it harder for banks to lend, small banks and big banks, and non-banks. And the only thing I can say to that is they didn't do such a good job of lending over the past year. I mean, they lent a lot, but not particularly responsibly. As far as, you know, the sports metaphor, I think it's a good one. In addition to the refs on the field, we're going to have some refs watching from the skybox, being able to see the bigger picture, and that might help.
You know, the biggest ref of all is the SEC, and didn't the Ponzi schemes recently prove that they're just not up to the task, Adam?
Yeah, the SEC has performed horribly. It's supposed to be about investor protection. Instead, it's kind of about helping the securities industry function well. The SEC hasn't worked well at all. We don't need new legislation to fix the SEC. We just need to fix the SEC. But they've dropped the ball.
Taylor Griffin, Adam Lashinsky, good to see you both. Thank you. Jane?
Well, two Republicans who want to be Florida's next senator are hoping for a bump in the polls after the debate they had on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace. Governor Charlie Crist is trying to stop the momentum of the former State House Speaker Marco Rubio. How did they do? Shannon Bream is looking at this for us today. Shannon, what were the hot button issues? This was their first nationally televised debate.
You're right, and it's setting up this interesting choice for GOP voters that we'll see play out in other races as well. The establishment candidate, the one who's gotten the big endorsements from the GOP, that's Governor Christ. On the other side, a very conservative challenger, Marco Rubio, who was getting